Hello and welcome to the OverCope Podcast. I'm Motor, Overwatch content creator and streamer. Oh my god, nerves. And this is Mick.
Hello, everyone. I'm
This,
Mick, and I do everything coaching and helping people in Overwatch. Really,
myself.
team. Yeah, true. Motor as well. Been helping Motor getting climbing ever since he was a little plat boy.
Actually, gold. To be fair, mate.
Was it really gold?
It was gold. It's not impressive to brag about being gold. It's impressive to brag about going from gold to masters there.
True. Relatively short amount of time, and with a heavy amount of cope.
No, the cope stopped quite early. Okay, the cope
To be
stopped
fair,
quite early.
it did. But yeah, I've done a lot of individual coaching and as well as team coaching, and sort of the highest team I have coached is a top 32 European Open Division coach. So team, not coach. Words are hard all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And this is the Overcope Podcast, where we're just going to talk about all things Overwatch, patch notes, new skins, obviously all the copers in the community, because they deserve to be shunned for what they do. So,
In an educational way, of course.
yeah, just strictly educational with a hint of bullying.
Let's be fair, we have both been copers, right? Like, you've been a coper, I have been a coper. I think most people in Overwatch, you don't realize what you're doing is cope. Like, you don't realize that you're focusing on this thing. Like, you're putting value into something that fundamentally does not matter and cannot change the outcome, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people, cope is just like a broad term for like tilting, giving up, shifting blame, being demotivated, just like feeling like you some people have imposter syndrome, right? They feel like they can't take control of their own games and whatnot, which you can. 100% you can.
I think
So-
this might actually just be something that we should probably clear up, because for me, you said I don't know what you said. You said some things that I didn't agree with there. Like, to me, the definition of cope is literally just that like mentality that you can't affect your own rank. It's that elo hell. It's that elo hell mindset. Like, believing that you are not in control of yourself and you are not in control of your rank. I think that's the true heart and soul of coping for me. So.
I think excuse me, bit under the weather, but for me, right, it's like coping is like is not taking responsibility for sure, but I think there's some things that leads up to that, like tilting. And tilt is not just like a aggressive emotion. Tilt can also be a suppressive emotion, right? Like, it can also be a feeling of sadness or a feeling of lack of self-confidence and even to some degree self-worth, right? Getting deep now. But that's tilt, right? Until leads to cope, essentially, right? So it's two sides of the same coin, really. We are obviously for the most part talking about like the competitive mindset, and not so much your casual Overwatch players, but the people who go into ranked of any kind and they're looking to seek that higher rank, that higher symbol.
Yeah, and maybe don't know how to achieve it. I mean, to be fair, like you said, everybody's been a coper at some point. Not everybody really understands what it means to get better, and so it's much easier to blame the people around you, especially when a lot of the time this idea of it being a team game gets pushed, because that does happen quite a bit, where it's like you think that you have to work with your team and people don't get that in the ranked mindset. Like, there's that difference of, like, in just ranked or quick play, even you're just enabling yourself, whereas if you're going into a scrim or like you're in the Overwatch League on a team, it's not always about enabling yourself, it's about enabling the other people around you, especially on like poke comps, really.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah. I mean, in any comp, really, in any comp. But I think there's definitely like a mindset of this idea that like you watch negative happen around you, and then you're like, that negative is the reason I'm not winning.
Yeah.
But you're not really comparing apples to apples and saying, okay, but how many things do I do that are negatives?
Yeah.
And that number is a lot higher for most people than they realize. It's a lot higher. But yeah, that's the Overcope podcast in a nutshell. There's going to be a lot more to it, obviously, but we're testing waters here. We're testing waters.
You can always expect us to go on a waffle, like just a complete tangent that is absolutely nothing to do with with anything that we had planned to talk about. So just a quick 5-minute rant about the philosophy of coping.
The philosophy I think we could way deeper into that, but I think we'll get into that concept a lot better. And I'm at least hoping that we can do two things: we can entertain people and we can educate them, right?
Yeah. And with that, I think it's probably the right time to transition to our first topic, which is a Season 8 hero tier list.
Spoiler warning: results may vary.
Well.
Yeah. Well,
I think there's right, first things first. There's obviously one hero that we want to talk about more than anybody.
Wait, really?
Well, I mean, I want to talk about him.
Okay,
Mauga.
I know you're interested in your Mauga. Let's go.
Okay, so gonna put it out there. He's probably S tier.
Yeah. So. do you wanna start giving your insights, or like should I just throw my opinion out there?
Right, I think from my I've got a little bit of experience playing him. I haven't played him too much. In the ranked scene anyway. This is only Wednesday, so we've only had 1-2 days to play him in ranked, which
18 hours really, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's the real testing ground. So we don't know. He did also just get a buff, which I think has helped him a lot.
Yes, and I think it's very important to also clarify that stuff will change as people learn how to play with him and against him, and stuff will also change because he is most definitely getting a balance change against Zoon. So take it with a grain of salt. It's early days. What we say here might be baloney, but we have our reasons for the baloney, right? Anyone claiming to be able to know what the current meta is lying to you. So, just want to put that out there. All of the tier lists, all of the big content creators are lying to you. It's the matter of the fact is, even for the pro, it takes a lot of experimenting and just like seeing how stuff feels. And I know that sounds really, 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 really dumb, which is not a tangent I want to go on. But in reality, a lot of metas are crafted up around just, this feels pretty meta angle. This feels good. And then you fill it out from there. No one has gotten to that point yet. No one can have. Right.
So, Mauga goes S tier for me. I'll leave him down there until you give your opinion actually. But from my experience, I feel like the only tank where it not struggles against, it's maybe more just his least favourite matchup is probably like a Wrecking Ball, because he's a tank buster. Obviously, like he gets so much sustain from his E. I feel like that is from my understanding anyway, is you get the flames going on, you build the overhealth, and you just completely demolish whatever the enemy tank is playing. You just demolish them, and they can't really do much about it most of the time. I mean, the charge is unreal. Rein suffers heavily because Rein can't really do much. Even if Rein shields, he can just stomp stun him. Hog obviously has got nothing that he can, like, what can Hog do against most tanks really, but I feel like the biggest thing about his playstyle is the tank matchup, which is kind of going back to that Overwatch 1 mindset. And I don't see any tanks here who actually win the matchup, because he's just like, he's got a loop that kind of counteracts what everybody else does, or he's got a kit that can just counteract everything.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to say as well is, one of the things that the change here has made is that it's made him slightly better to be able to poke out resources and squishies at a distance, right?
Oh yeah.
It's being able to fire that incendiary gun like on a range here has put him into like a position where like now he can do a bit of both worlds. I still feel as if he is the strongest if you can manage to position yourself in a way where the enemy tank can just not get space, right? Like the enemy tank can just not play the game. Not that like he's incredibly good at trading backlines again. The issue becomes like he kind of struggles with like multiple angles and crowd control and poke, right? Like you kind of want to take the fight in one direction and really be able to shut down the tanks. And absolutely, like you can't shut down ball, but I also want to be incredibly real with you here. If you're playing ball, chances are Mauga has just run the backline while ball is struggling to kill the like fairly like self-peelable supports that we're currently rolling with. Like a lot of Kiriko is out there currently, quite a bit of Baptiste, right? Anna for that matter. Like these characters, ball will force these resources, but ball will probably not kill any of them while you are going hard at his backline and you are probably getting kills. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah. So I'd say for me that's an easy S tier. I just
So I want to say like S tier, right? But here's the thing, right? He's only S tier if he's leverageable in the close range, right? Which he is right now. He's leverageable there. I think as soon as we nerf his like really like start moving some of the damage into like incendiary and like just left and right click, right? Like as soon as we move some of that power away from there and into the individual sort of like long range ignite then crit, I think we're moving him into a category where we're trying to compete at a distance, and when Mauga tries to compete at a distance, he loses everything, right? He loses the sort of like compare like value to other long range characters. He loses his sustain significantly. He loses his ability to win, right? Like he loses like one of his win conditions right now, I feel like. S tier though for sure right now. Definitely overtuned character. He is maybe not at the very highest level gonna be super free low, but I think even at a quite high level, Mauga is gonna be completely free because there is legitimately no tank that you can play into. Like you can play some characters like D.Va, to some extent Saya. Like I've seen a lot of arguing about Saya being able to at least force him to do something and mitigate the bleeding. But realistically, the bleeding right now is too much. Like the damage on this character, the sustain on this character is just too much. You can probably quite easily burst through her bubbles and pop your cardiac overdrive, and here we are.
You're putting a plaster on a severed artery.
Band-aid on a bullet wound.
Yeah.
But yeah, yes.
D.Va, like you said, D.Va is kind of in a like she's not too bad against Mauga because the defense matrix just allows you to peel against the cardiac overdrive.
I feel like we need to address that we have to assume that Mauga doesn't stay where he is right now in terms of the whole patch. So I think we need to be a little bit generous, because otherwise we might as well just like start putting all of the tanks down in the gutter. So just like contextually, yes, Mauga probably diffs everything else, but like we're giving you like an idea of where this character might be if Mauga wasn't as oppressive.
Really? You think that's the approach that we should take?
I think so, right? Because otherwise we just put everything down in D tier, right? Done and dusted. Done.
No, I don't know that we do.
I will say that right now, from what I've seen from even the higher ends, Mauga's win rate against any other tank is like sitting at like 90%. So it's like there is no question when Mauga is involved. So I don't think we should cater to that as much.
Okay. Well, I mean, honestly, I was gonna say anyway for D.Va. Like, to be fair, D.Va may be the opposite of Mauga, where in the higher elos better, in the lower elos not so much, because the playstyles may be a little bit more complicated.
Yeah.
Like the loop.
If there's any high ground to leverage, right?
Yeah. Do we?
If there's anything where Mauga has to take a long rotation, like maps like Dorado, we might see more Diva or Sigma for that matter.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of Diva, I think she's like, in terms of what I would say she is, non-contextualized of Mauga, she's like a mid tier right now. Like she's probably even a bit on the lower end overall.
I guess, yeah, that's a good point of where is she playable? Because I wasn't really considering that. I was just considering how strong is she on the maps that she's good at. But when you think about it, what maps do you really play her on? It's Dorado and
Places like there are places you can leverage it, like Paraiso as well.
yeah, Paraiso, yeah,
Yeah, and what?
a full 2.
Yeah, Rialto.
Okay, 3.
And Umbani. Isn't
Four.
Umbani? There are some maps, right? There are some maps.
I think we put her in A tier personally. Like, I don't think she's that weak. I'm not saying she's strong.
I think. Okay, fair. Okay. We'll settle on an A. Give it an A. I personally think a B. I don't think she's quite that good. I don't see how she's like considered like, this is the tank we're gonna see a bunch of, because she's not gonna be. But we disagree here. But we're not gonna see a lot of Diva in this season.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, Doom. B tier.
arguably, so the thing is like A tier, like probably like better than Diva.
You think?
Yeah, 100%, because he has ways to get value on the back line while not getting obliterated on Mauga. Like he can force cooldowns on the back line, right? You can get the punch, force stuff, get the shots to try to get kills. You can get out fairly like leverageably. You can stall quite a lot with your block. He has way. It's kind of like the same thing where like a lot of teams would like start playing Bastion against or like Doomfist against Bastion, right? Because he has ways to circumvent Bastion turret form, and then still get value, right? I don't think Diva does. I don't know why. I honestly think we would go like Diva B, Doom A. That's my 2 cents on it, at least. I don't think Diva is nearly as good as we've put her here.
But so you think Diva goes down, and
I do think so. I think there's an angle to Doomfist. Like we're going to see Doomfist be used. I don't think we're gonna see much Diva. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm willing to go back on that. I'm worried maybe Doomfist is becoming a little bit too strong, just because of his ultimate. Like his in the same way that like kind of Genji is just farming the blade. It's like for Doomfist, it's like he farms his ult and then he can go mega hard, where it's like he can ability dump. Where like before, if you pop the ultimate after you've taken loads of damage, then that was that. Like you had to get out and you weren't going to get value out of all those cooldown resets. But now his ultimate gives him health regen. It gives him all of his cooldowns back. It clears all negative effects. So even if he got antied when he popped his ultimate, he still gets healed. So
it is definitely a like an ability kind of like Susu that does everything.
yeah,
Like it does everything. I will say one of the things, like the general takeaway from like people that I know that play Doom, and also apparently some of the better Doom players like Zebra, is that he is actually slightly worse right now, because you do regen your health, but regenning your health was never really a concern as much, because that's not how you were using. Like you weren't using Meteor Strike to regen and then go in aggressive again necessarily. You were kind of just using it either to like position for like a backline engage, or like to just as a get out of jail free card, right? Like a lot of the times that was some aggressive options as well. But the big thing now is like, yes, you heal. The heal doesn't give you that much compared to the fact that it's now like 10 or 15% slower to charge.
Yeah.
Like you get less ultimates, so that is definitely one of the things. I think Doomfist is going to be one of the few characters that if you can play Doom, if you know how to play this character and you grind this character, you can still get value against a really oppressive Mauga frontline.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I'm happy. I'm happy with A tier. I'm happy with A tier. Junker Queen. She is going to get obliterated by Mauga.
Yes.
And is probably worse than Ram.
I think Ram is like another cake of things. I think Queen is probably like a B tier. Yeah.
Would you?
I think against Mauga, probably like a B tier. If we remove Mauga from the game, like an A tier. So somewhere between like, I think low A is like maybe what I'd give her. Without Mauga, but like with Mauga, we're probably looking at like a high B. Like better than D.Va for sure, but not.
Do you not think she struggles too much with Ram now also being quite a viable option?
I said like I think she does struggle a bit with definitely the Mauga, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere in B. I'll let you decide if it's better than D.Va or worse than D.Va. I'd say somewhere in B though.
She's not.
It's worse than D.Va. Worse than D.Va. Okay. Well,
I feel like because she's not on her maps, which when I say on her maps, I'm talking push maps and I'm talking flashpoint maps. If the enemy team goes Ram, they will inevitably get more value on your backline. Like it's going to be, or not inevitably, but it's going to be harder for you to find. Pardon me. It's going to be harder for you to find value on their backline than it will be for them to find value on your backline. And
okay.
I just think that makes her a bit more viable.
I mean, I think, but like, why are we talking about Ram now? Like, we're talking about the whole picture, right?
Yeah.
Because I think in terms like Ram is also like, so this is what you're not like you're removing the context, right? Because we're about to come up on Ram, and I'm about to tell you that Ram is probably the high end of A, like probably the highest in A, right? Like Ram is really good, but I don't necessarily think that means that Queen is not good. Because just to be fair, they're both absolutely hot garbage against Mauga, right?
Yeah.
Like they're both tanks that have some amount of range to disrupt people from range, right? Knife on Queen, arguably not nearly as much as Ram has in his neutral, right? Like Ram's neutral is much better than Queen. Queen really needs to get in there and get the bleed going without taking too much damage on the backline, right? Like she needs to do that, and she needs to play quick or try to isolate a target with Knife, right? Whereas Ram doesn't necessarily need to do that. Like Ram can play a lot more like I don't know what to call it, like an anchor, like a rock in the road that can decide when to go, and like also just like being able to take a lot as well. Like with Ram blocking, like take quite a lot. But I think if we remove the context of Mauga again, right? I think those two tanks are like comparable, right? I just think Mauga makes Queen suffer perhaps a bit more than Ram, right?
Yeah. Okay, I mean, I'm happy for the highest in A.
100% agree. Yeah, 100%. I would agree.
Okay, Sigma. S.
I think Sigma gets. Yeah, I mean, no. Well, see, this is difficult, right?
Yeah. In S.
This is. It's like. I think Sigma, right? I think Sigma requires too much to be able to match, because the thing is for Mauga it's kind of just like break shield, which he does quite effectively, make sure that grasp doesn't get too much value, and then from that point on it's like Mauga, like if Mauga can get close, Mauga can just starve out and like resource staff Sigma fully to a point where Sigma just has to back. Just has to keep backing. Even if you play something like Anna Sigma, like at a higher level, and you're assuming that this is like kind of like to really just get the anti-nades get the range pressure, get the rocks off the on the Mauga, right? I still think there is merit to babying your Ramatra and being able to play around that. At the lower level, I think like at a sort of like decently low level like Plat Diamond, I think you're finding that Mauga can just bully the Sigma out of resources on most maps, except maps where there just is no way for Mauga to get onto 6. And so this is one of the things where it's like I honestly think if we were to do this, I'd change Ramatra and Sigma in that scenario if we're talking about this, because I think Ramatra is going to have a better time, personally.
Really? What, because you think he's got the ability to kind of brawl and be able to sustain against what Morgan's going to do, whereas Sigma's just going to get depleted and not be able to...
I feel like at least Ramatra has the opportunity to rotate a little bit better, find an angle onto the backline, and lift that deadly like close up sort of like primary fight, because you have shield and nemesis form, which are really heavy. Like you have a lot more sustain, where Sigma has like contextual sustain that you can kind of just ignore for a little bit. Like a lot of the cooldowns on Sigma, I feel like you can get forced out too easily, right?
Yeah, you can't.
So I would set Sigma somewhere between like Ramatra and Doomfist probably. I don't think Sigma is S tier.
Okay, yeah, I'll take that.
And it is just because Mauga is numerically hard. Like if we knock those numbers down a little bit, Sigma wins the trade up and we start finding value on the backline. 100%.
Okay. That means that no tanks. No tanks except for Mauga hitting the S tier. Spoiler warning.
That's what I told you though. Like that's why I'm saying it doesn't make much sense to balance against Mauga, because Mauga is broken right now. But here we are. We're doing it anyway. Just if everyone wants to like figure out sort of like where stuff might be going in terms of like a Mauga nerf, just remember what I've been saying, and then you can just sort of like slot it in wherever you remember talking about. Okay, this would probably be a lot better if Mauga wasn't as rampant. So Queen and Ramatra, right? And Sigma. Doomfist probably doesn't go up much, to be fair. I think Doomfist stays around where he is. Same with Diva.
Okay. Reinhardt.
I mean, against the Ramatra, it's just a flat D. against another Ramatra, sorry, Mauga, it's just a flat D. Like Reinhardt gets bullied so incredibly hard against the Mauga.
You said it a lot. Contextually, in this meta.
Contextually, I don't think Reinhardt is that bad. I think Reinhardt is definitely playable, but Mauga is like the last sort of like nail in the coffin, where it's just like no.
He was kind of not having a fun time anyway, because like the meta was very much like Sigma. Bastion was very strong. It was very poke heavy.
Mei.
And then like
Mei.
And then Mei. And then then you look at like, okay, well if we take Sigma out of the question, who's there? And then it's like, well, Diva still on the high ground maps. Ramatra probably overtakes him. Orisa didn't really get nerfed. Other things just got stronger than her. So then it's like, well, Ryan's falling down this ladder pretty heavily, and it's like, well, Winston still hasn't even been nerfed since he was meta. So then like, if it stops being a poke meta, we probably just end up going back to a dive meta anyway. Obviously, depending on what DPS and supports are strong, but I don't feel like much has really changed.
I mean, to be fair, it's not like dive isn't meta because poke is meta. That is painting a wrong picture. That's painting a picture that like poke counters dive and like dive counters brawl and brawl counters poke. It's not exactly the trueness of it. There's like a down to the bone marrow kind of like concept of like, if you just look at what it is like fundamentally how are these compositions played, there is like a map win condition kind of like sheet you could follow, right? Of like how this would go, like a rock paper scissors kind of deal. But just to be clear, it's just because there's certain characters in set poke meta that are incredibly difficult to dive, right?
Yeah.
Like when Winston trying to go in on a Bastion, like Bastion just laughs at you, right?
Yeah.
Winston trying to go in on a Baptiste. Okay, maybe you force Lamp, then also Bastion and Rock
Yeah.
and like it's just because like certain heroes that have like good leverage ability against dive are currently like good, and they happen to form a poke meta, right? Like I don't think necessarily because we have had like the double sniper poke, right, where a lot of Overwatch League teams would play like double sniper poke Zenyatta Baptiste on like Junkertown, but then actually Atlanta Rain came around and said, you know what, I can just fully take angles onto that with like a Tracer and a Sombra and a Winston, and boom, we had the Tracer Sombra Winston dive meta, right? So just to be clear, it's not like poke just in an isolated world cancels out dive in any way, shape, or form, right? It's a matter of leverage, right? Matter of leverage.
I hate doing this. Are we saying D?
If we're following the concept that it's around Mauga, then yes, D. Like absolutely D.
Breaks my heart. Does that mean that Hog also goes D?
Yeah, probably does. Probably D.
Wrecking Ball.
D.
C? Do you think it's not even? I don't even know if he goes.
I feel like you can draw some kind of value, especially maybe like on high ground maps, right? But he is not one of the characters that I would look into getting into right now necessarily. I would even argue that you could probably say that Roadhog might be able to have like a bit of a higher status here. Because at least on Roadhog, there's a merit to like sort of like finding an angle onto the backline and getting a quick and dirty kill, right? Like.
And I guess the stun that Mauga has isn't as negative for him now with the rebreather changer.
I'd swap Hog and Monkey here. I'd swap Hog and Monkey.
Okay,
honestly.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
In that order?
Something like that.
Yeah. Zarya.
I think we're now coming up on one of those picks where it's like, this is, I feel like we need to see where this is going, but there's an angle to Zarya, right?
Yeah.
I can't really predict it necessarily. I think there's an angle to Zarya. I think there's an angle where Zarya has leverage ability. I think she might be an A tier. Think she might be an A tier. I don't really feel like we're in A tier, and this is also this is more of a guess than anything, but I think she might be usable. I think there are ways you can get her to work.
I guess the way that this is kind of structured, the way this looks to me right now is these guys are B tier. You know, obviously they're put down by Mauga. But they're
like
mostly here because they're only
like,
good on their specific maps. A is just they are good anyway, and they'd probably be ass if it wasn't for Mauga's existence.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Is like, they would probably be quite up there if Mauga wasn't just better, right? So
yeah. So then, if we go off that, if Mauga did not exist, would Zarya be a map-dependent hero? Or would Zarya be...
all heroes have better and worse maps, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just always just gonna be the case, right? I think personally, like Saya it has a leverage ability to where she is definitely A. It's like, okay, so here's the way it's gonna go, right? Here's what I'm thinking right now. It's like, in terms of what I'm predicting, it can go two ways. It could be an A tier and actually turns out to be quite leverageable. I said, like, no one really knows right now. Yeah. Definitely some people that have more qualified guesses, probably also more qualified than me and you. But the way I'm looking at it right now is that she could be leverageable and then she's A, or she could just not be leverageable and then she's B, like a B tier, because she will find value. She's one of those characters that will find value. Yeah. She's not like Monkey and Ryan and Ball, where it's like, you're probably not gonna find value in this current meta, right? You're probably just not gonna do it unless you're not facing the matchup. which probably are gonna be a lot, at least for the beginning. That's how I look at it. So I'd give her a chance.
Yeah.
Say maybe an 8. Yeah.
Bottom
give her
of A?
bottom of A contextually because we think that she might be too old.
Okay, right. And Orisa to cap off the tanks.
Where does Orisa go?
She doesn't feel that strong.
Yeah.
Doesn't. Okay, she does. Like I said, she hasn't really been nerfed from when she was meta. So it's like, realistically, if I load into a game of Overwatch and I play 10 games of Orisa, in probably like only 2 out of those 10 will I feel like the tank matchup was extremely unfavourable or whatever, or I feel like if I was playing a different hero, the outcome, excluding Mauga, the outcome would have been like crazy different. If you get what I'm trying to say, like I don't think she's necessarily in a bad spot. She's just kind of trumped by.
I don't think she's at all like a bad tank because or anything like. The one thing I'm like, is like what is the chance that she can ignore Mauga, because you cannot take the matchup. That's not happening. I mean, I like I've had games myself on Mauga, admittedly in lower elo, right? But you're just sitting on like if Orisa tries to push, especially if it's not like that open of a map, a lot of like different angles to take. Orisa just doesn't push through Mauga. Like it just doesn't happen. Like you cannot get to the people that you can actually do anything about. So and it's unfeasible for her to do like a long rotation. I feel like a lot of the time she's not gonna be liking to take that long solo rotation. So I feel like right now in this context, like down here, I think if Mauga was gone, we'd probably move her up a bit. And if Mauga was gone, we could probably move Saya down. Like we'd probably swap Orisa and Saya if Mauga wasn't as strong as it was.
Yeah.
I don't think Orisa ever really became bad. I think just as you said, other things just became better.
Yeah. That is probably my position with most tanks though, which is something that I could definitely go on a rant about, so I'm gonna keep myself away from it before I drag us too far, of course, but I'm happy with where all these tanks are sitting right now.
I mean, there's a few ones that are that are definitely creating a question mark in my head, right? Maybe we've been a bit too harsh on Hockey Boy. Maybe we should be more harsh on Diva, but other than that, like...
I've played the Hog vs Mauga matchup on Ilios well, which is arguably probably going to be the most dangerous Hog can be to a Mauga, and I did not feel scared at any point in that game. The only time I ever felt scared was when he was lurking next to the well. And then as soon as he pops the hook, I would just run him down. Like I'd pop my charge, land on his head, burst him, and then if he wasn't dead in the 6 seconds, then I would start like maneuvering my way to cover, and it'd be fine. Like I just knew that I wasn't gonna die.
To be fair, like okay, so like, there's a lot of stuff to unpack here, right? But like first of all, the Hog is like the lower elo you are, the easier it is to get a well kill with Hog, right? Like not that it doesn't happen in top 500, of course it does, right? But I'm just saying, if you're clever with the Mauga and you understand that you want to leverage like angles and close quarters, right? Kind of like really like pulling that corner play, right? Without going too much into corner play, but playing a bit like a Reinhardt and cutting off these like ways for like almost like the enemy tank to even take space, right? In a lot of the matchups, which is incredibly boring that he just sustains that much and pressures that much that he can just hold like a pushed up corner and be like, you're not pushing this.
Yeah.
Like it's a terribly designed tank. It's a terribly designed, but all I'm saying is it's like I think Hog might actually be sort of decent if you know how to leverage sort of like playing flank hog, right? Like I think it's not the worst, but like I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying we might have slaughtered a little bit. Slaughtered him a little bit there. That's all I'm gonna say. But we'll see. We'll see. Like the thing is, obviously we can check. We can check the top 500 leaderboard coming over like the next sort of week. We can see which ones were hits, which ones were misses. Maybe we bring it up in the next week's podcast. We just bring it up quickly and be like, you know what? These ones we were spot on. These ones did not see it. Came out of left field. Stumbled us. Let's talk about why that might be.
Yeah. I guess
Alright.
I guess it also depends on like when Doomfist had his moment in the sun where he was like had the 3-second punch cooldown and like just had those slew of buffs that just like hit him, and then like literally it was the quickest patch you've ever seen in your life. They gave my boy Doomfist 7 days.
1 week.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, 1 week. 1 week in the show.
Bastion S tier.
Yeah, not up. S tier.
Okay,
Nothing
Cass B, C.
C. Yeah, C.
Genji D.
Bad.
C.
I think maybe it's a little bit higher actually. I think maybe like B on A. B, yeah, B. Because like he can be played. Like it's one of the characters that can be played.
Yeah, I guess I can say that about Genji. Let's just hold on.
Hanzo somewhere B tier.
Junkrat D.
Yeah, D.
May
A tier. Not S, A.
A.
She's good at dealing with what Mauga has to put out, which we cannot ignore the fact that she's gonna be out there.
Faris tier.
I think like it depends like where like you're looking at, but like probably like a C tier, yes.
I think higher end of the C tier, but
higher end of C, maybe even a B.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I'm feeling the temptation to put her on the B. She's not because the right click on Mauga has actually gotten quite a bit stronger. You can actually just like set her on fire quite easily in the sky, is what I've learned. Like you don't have to be that close to be able to put Farah under a certain amount of pressure, which is kind of making me feel like I don't know if it's B or C. I think.
I mean, 9 out of 10 times you probably just want to run the backline over anyway, right?
Yeah.
You like Farah is realistically like when you pop cardiac overdrive, Farah's realistically not going to do anything to you at least.
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue on it.
Reaper.
C tier, same tier.
Lower than Cass probably. Soldier 76, thinking low B.
I mean, better than Hanzo, no? Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Better than Hanzo, yeah.
Okay.
I must just say, consistent character. Not super strong or anything, not super bad. This is a rank splitter, right? Where she's like probably quite strong in the lower elos because you're gonna be allowed to charge that B on more, right? And you're gonna be getting some questionable turret kills by just stacking turrets instead of using them as a scouting tool necessarily, which is what you'd probably be doing at a higher level.
She actually makes me think maybe topping C tier.
Put it on the top of the C tier. Yeah.
Torbjorn.
It's just kind of the same story, isn't it? It's just the same story. Like it's like C, high C, low B.
You think high C?
Yeah, definitely.
I was thinking like slotted.
No. There's no way you think Farah's better than Torbjorn right now. No way you think that's the case.
Maybe not. I don't know.
And the thing is like if you're balancing after low elo, then Farah is obviously better. Like we might as well just put Farah all the way up, right?
Yeah.
But we're not balancing like necessarily. Like we're trying to find some common ground. Like but like in like if you're able to play Torbjorn, you're able to like properly use his turret to deny flank and as like denying that angle for the Tracer and the Genji and the Sombra and whatnot, right? And you're playing like a different angle yourself. You're leveraging your cooldowns properly. You're playing like that pokey spammy type. Like if like the thing about Torbjorn, right, is like in low elo you'll find people just like right clicking constantly in tank's face while having the turret just right behind them. That ain't gonna work. But like if you're playing the correct style of Torbjorn, where it's like you're playing more like a Hanzo with that extra angle, like scouting tool / flank denying turret, Um, even to some extent, like a backline kind of like, not necessarily peel, but like backline tool for sure.
Yeah.
Like you're putting a lot of damage out. You're not just spamming with Torbjorn. You're playing to land those nails.
Yeah.
I think Torbjorn is arguably even better than Symmetra as well.
Is that
Maybe
what they are? Are they
even
nails?
maybe yeah, they're big bolts basically. Maybe even sort of like right below like Torbjorn right below Hanzo, because Hanzo is arguably better, right? But they do fulfill sort of like similar playstyles. Obviously Torbjorn having no verticality, a lot more sort of like sustain, little bit more spammy, and has that like flank sort of like thing. So like it's a bit of a slower character, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I would say definitely, I would move him up a little. Move him up a little here.
Bump him up tier? Or...
Either that's probably where he is in terms of like a lower elo, and like in terms of high elo, probably move him down a little bit.
He can stay.
So-
I don't want to crowd C. I feel like we're gonna end up crowding C.
This one may split the waters between the two of us.
What, Tracer?
Tracer, yeah. I think Tracer's S tier right now.
S.
I think she's S. Having gotten her damage back in the recent patch, and being one of the characters that can effectively go on top of a backline that Morgan may or may not have, and actually threaten kills and force cooldowns, is huge right now. I think Tracer is like an absolute S tier.
Absolute as well.
Absolute
Yes,
S.
man, it's certain. Is she gonna get played over the Bastion and the May in the composition? I just can't. Like, if you were to
There's
play
a lot of
Mauga-
maps where there's a lot of maps where May might not get a lot of value, right?
Watchpoint Gibraltar obviously like screams out to me. In that that scenario, yeah. In the comp, at the comp level, yeah. To be fair, I think I'm okay with that. I thought it was going to be lower, but you make a good point, and I haven't really considered. You know what I'm like? I only really consider like the supports and the tanks, and the obvious DPS. So like to me, the obvious one was like Bastion. How does Bastion and May work?
Like, just to clarify, like also I think you're thinking that Bastion and May gets a lot of synergistical value in scrims, right? Has to remember that is not necessarily gonna happen at all levels of rank. Yeah. Also, I just want to be very clear for the viewers again. Take this with a grain of salt. This is just two guys that have varying levels of experience. We're not crystal balls. We cannot predict everything. We can predict some things. We can talk about some things. It's an iterative process. It's about learning and understanding why stuff is as good as it is. It's not about being, this is it. Trust me, guys. Trust me. Source, trust me, bro. Like, it's not about that, right? It's not about that. It's about just getting an understanding of why we think the way we think, and then be like, okay, actually, we were wrong here. Let's try to understand why this character turns out to be contextually as good as it is, right?
I'm gonna get a clip of you saying "trust me," okay, and then a completely falsified tier list where Junkrat's S tier, and post that everywhere, and you're gonna lose all credit.
Do it.
You're gonna lose all credit.
I'm not afraid to lose credit by just speaking my mind while I'm not claiming anything. Go for it. I have so much street credit you wouldn't believe, my dude.
No man who has ever said "my dude" has got any sort of hood credit. That's a
My
fact.
dude. I got so much street credit, the rookie police let me. Alright, anyway.
Widowmaker. I don't know.
Tough one.
I don't know.
Widowmaker is like such a tough one. I actually don't know where I sit on. Like, people that are really good at Widowmaker and the high elos, great character, like A easily, right? But like your average like gold Widowmaker that doesn't land any headshot kills and doesn't understand how to threaten sidelines and like create space for aggression control. It's like this character is like a B tier then, maybe like worse than like even. Like, probably even, like, for the lower ranks, probably even worse than Torbjorn. Definitely not a C tier, but at the higher ranks, I'd maybe give her, like, an A, right?
I'm happy to do that.
You're happy to do that?
Yeah. Because...
Sure.
Because...
Okay.
At
Go
the
on.
lower elos, I am a gold DPS player. I have played Widowmaker and I've played in the correct positions and I know they're the correct positions. But gold players don't respect Widowmakers, so they'll still peek the angle anyway. And my aim is so bad that I can't punish them for doing it. So it's like, it's the crux of like, they don't care that their Widow's shooting at them. Either they don't know that it's a Widow shot, or they just don't care and they think that peeking it is okay as long as it's jiggle peeking. And I'm not good enough to punish that mistake. So I think in like that balancing of like, we gotta take into account that I mean, it's not her meta. It's not going to be her meta. But like you said, Defran gets on Widow, it becomes an S tier hero. Mick and B gets on Widow, it's probably D tier. So,
Yeah, that's fair. And recently I've been beating Adam in DPS 1 rounds. Just saying. Right. None of our viewers knows who Adam is.
No, I was
it's a
about to
player
say-
for Motor's college team,
Yeah,
and
it's
he's kind of like known as the mechanic guy. Like he has the
Yeah.
aim,
Yeah, he fixes cars.
fixes cars. Real. That's him. Okay, so I love the car mechanic joke. It's amazing. That's like I just want to like say there's a portion of our viewers that appreciate that joke, and that portion I'm happy that you're here. I'm all for it. All right.
C.
Yeah, I think it's probably fair to even put her in a D tier because I think at the highest level her win rate is like less than 50% right now, and like at a lower level she's more towards the 50, right? Or was like 45% in GM?
I feel like she probably sits around about that Reaper.
No, Reaper is arguably better. No,
Really?
This is a difficult one. This becomes very difficult, right? Because there are certain people that make Sombra work, right? Quite a lot, like Fitzy,
Yeah.
right? Sitting in GM with Sombra. But for the vast majority of people, you know what? I'm indifferent. The two are interchangeable. They're both garbage.
Yeah. I mean, I think
I
this
feel like
is
Reaper in like current patch on that current state of the game with so much poke and like crowd control and whatnot. I feel like Reaper's a symptom of like everything. I don't think Reaper's actually that bad, to be fair.
Reaper is probably actually a little bit better now that Mauga exists as well, because we're maybe looking at a little bit more of a brawl angle with Mauga. And if there's a Mauga, can he sustain himself with the lifesteal?
Probably respectable as well, but yeah, I think both characters are like kind of like, or not both. Reaper is in a different meta where he doesn't get poked out as much. I think Reaper might actually be a lot better than what we're seeing right now. I don't think Reaper's a bad character.
No.
No, take it back. He is a bad character, but he's not as bad as people say he is, right?
Yeah.
Context, right?
I don't. Like I said, like you said, I think in like a Mauga brawl kind of setting, I could see him being kind of good because I don't necessarily know what Mauga does to him. He is just going to walk into your face and shoot you in the head over and over with a shotgun, and he's going to get lifesteal, and if you set him on fire, he's going to wraith away, and he can just keep repeating that. Obviously, he wants to get on the backline as well. He can probably pretty reliably do that into a Mauga. I think in this specific brawl angle, obviously Bastion is better. I think this it's not a hill that I'm bothered about dying on though either, so I'm quite happy to just leave those two at C tier. And I think
leave it as it is.
I think Reaper has the opportunity to climb maybe, but I wouldn't be like shocked if Reaper climbs to B.
I think. So looking at Ash now, there's 4 characters that I'm now reconsidering looking at Ash, right? Because I hadn't really thought about this, but like, if we're being completely honest with ourselves, we're probably looking at something like Ash over Widow over Hanzo or Soldier. I think we should actually do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like why is Soldier this high? Like Soldier shouldn't be this high. Like Soldier should not be this high in like
that's only B tier. You know what?
No, but like I mean, in the beat, like move soldier down, like all the way down. I mean, not worse than Torbjorn, but like
I was
between...
you said all the way down.
And then
I don't know if I agree with that.
I would move Widow up actually a little bit. I do think Widow is technically better than Hanzo.
How do we feel about that?
That's a hot take. Or is it a hot take? Or is it just the right take?
I think it's the
Is
right
it the
take.
right take?
Okay, we cannot possibly
I
have.
don't think Genji should be that high though. Is Genji that high?
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
Is he that high?
yeah.
He might be that high.
Probably.
He might be. See, I'm second guessing everything I know, right? This is a good exercise for me too, right? I'm thinking about this right now. Like
It's
on
just
the spot,
like
I'm
how
thinking.
many DPS can we possibly have at B tier while we only have 3 in the upper echelons? Because we don't just
I mean,
play
to be fair,
three
But that
DPS heroes. We don't just play 3 DPS heroes. There are other
no 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 no
DPS
no no
heroes.
no 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 no. See, this is where you're making a big brain fart, right? Massive brain fart. Because every single DPS is like one triggerable all the way to top 500, right?
Yeah.
So of course we're not just gonna see one, like, people play what they like, right? But this isn't about what we like. This is about what's good. Like if we're comparing apples to apples and apples to oranges, what is better? Right? Like that is very, like, I just want to be very clear. It's like I think pretty much all of the DPS is like someone want to exit up to top 500. Like, I don't know fully about Junkrat and like Reaper and that whatnot, but every single other one has happened already, right? So so I'm thinking that Genji might be... Is he up there? He might be up there. What is Genji up there? He might be up there. I think we can accept that as being a true statement. We can accept that. That's fine.
My next question is: do we move Ash up?
No,
No,
No
not
shot.
there, not
No.
there.
no shot. Because there is a character coming up that is up there, but it's not Ash.
Oh yeah. Well,
Okay.
yeah.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Are we happy?
See-
I mean, I'm happy to just
Yeah,
do that now.
I think S tier. I think Sojourn is...
Really?
Yeah, she's used across like even like competitive play and like coordinated team play, and like she's consistently picked by everything in
There
everywhere.
S tier, or does Tracer like is Tracer kind of sneaking into?
I think Tracer is like leaning into that spot. I think we're definitely finding that, but definitely she's... I'm actually happy to leave her where she is there right now.
Okay, I think this is the last DPS.
Yep. I think
B.
no. I think she's ARS.
Oh yeah. I was like thinking like high end B, low end A.
That's a really incredibly strong tank you can copy now. That always helps. That
Yeah.
always helps a bit.
Yeah.
I think with how we're gonna lean into how well Anna kind of suits this current like Mauga scenario. I think being able to copy Anna Nate as well is like probably quite strong. Being able to hold like a different angle as well and have like the ability, like if you can get Mauga to half HP, yeah, like you
Yeah.
can start chunking away. I think the ability to assassinate backline, specifically this one, being able to assassinate backline, I think is strong as well. So I think we're either looking at an A or an S tier.
How does she? Okay, she's not better than Bastion. I think we can agree on that. Obviously, she's not better than Bastion. Probably not better than Sojourn.
I think it's a...
Is she better than these two? I don't know.
I think she's better than Bastion.
No, you did not just say that. Those words
I-
did not just exit your mouth.
It's a different story when you're talking about team play, right? And like a lot of at least open division teams, right, in EU are using a lot of Bastion, right?
Yeah.
I can't deny that, but I think in general, in ranked and whatnot, I actually think Bastion starts to get punished a bit much.
Actually, the Mauga, with the Mauga consideration, Bastion actually does struggle against Mauga if he's not coordinating his wheels with the enemy Morga's cardiac overdrive. Like, I saw a team swap to Bastion to try and counter me on Morga, and I made a point of it to always go on this Bastion, because it was like, you are essentially a mini tank, and I can just punish you every single time that you think you can take the 1v1.
Big hitbox, right? I'm actually questioning a little bit here whether or not we should swap Bastion into an A tier.
I don't hate this, actually. I think Echo even wins the 1v1 in terms of how much fire.
I don't think Echo's that far. I don't think Echo's that far. I think Tracer's above Echo. I think Tracer goes all the way up.
You think in that?
And then I think, yeah, and then I'm actually thinking, yeah. I think I'm thinking that.
I don't mind that. Actually, I'm looking at that and I'm like, at first I was rejecting this idea because I know how strong the Morga with Bastion power up is, but then it's kind of like, if we're talking the ranked angle, Morga disables Bastion, and if we're talking
exactly.
the ranked angle, Tracer and Echo probably disable Bastion, and so does Sojourn.
And everything has leeway depending on the rank and depending on how you decide to play the matchups.
Yeah.
Which is another topic we're gonna get into at some point. But
I mean, obviously these are easier, man.
at one point we're gonna get into the whole talk about counter swapping and how real counter swapping you've been led to believe counter swapping is, and how real counter swapping actually is, right? So, because those two things are not the same. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy. I don't think we've fully gotten either tank or DPS correctly. I'm gonna be real with you. Thinking back on it, we've had some stinkers in here, but it's fine. We've had some stinkers. Take it with a grain of salt. The further we go up this ladder, the more convinced the two of us are, at least, that these will be useful.
Yeah. I think the thing is, it's like, I'm so happy to not even like care about these guys, because I'm almost certain that they are not going to be meta. And then it's like, you get to these and it's kind of like,
they can be used.
They can be used. I don't think any pro teams are going to be looking. Maybe pro teams on like Flashpoint will look at these on Flashpoint, this guy, and on poke maps these three.
Yeah. Torbjorn is like probably not.
No. These
but like
six,
in rank,
I can see being played everywhere though. Well, not everywhere, but I can see them getting. I could see them being played in a lot of places.
Yeah, and as I said, like some teams probably also use quite a lot of Symmetra, right? But maybe not in ranked.
Yeah.
Okay. Shall we move on to the supports, because we have about to have used like 45 minutes on this.
Yeah. Lucian.
Right. Ranked D tier. Ranked D tier, no doubt.
Ranked D tier.
D tier, no doubt. If we're looking at ranked, he's a D tier.
Okay,
he's
and then if we're not looking at ranked,
he's an S tier. it's like if you're looking like in like coordinated environment, S tier. But if you're looking like not a coordinated environment, D tier. Like, no doubt about it.
Okay, alright. I am going to ask you the question: which are we prioritizing more then?
I mean, we're catering to people that are watching a podcast on YouTube, so it's like somewhere in the middle. Maybe give him like a C tier.
Do you really think he's D tier in ranked?
Yeah, 100%. Like, he is awful in ranked. Like, the one thing he does. You even okay. So basically, a lot of the value from Lucio comes from coordination, timing, right?
Yeah.
Timing is important with Lucio. And then that's one portion of his value, like speed engages, being able to like sustain a team sort of fairly alright with a flex support. And for anyone who doesn't know, flex supports are generally speaking what ranked people would be calling main healers. There's no such thing as that, but that's what a flex support is, right?
Zan, Moira, Bat, Kiriko, Alari.
Yeah, and then it also it kind of like, I mean, Life Weaver as well, right? Like, but and then there's like stuff where like you might say like, well, Sen isn't the main healer in this. The actual explanation we can take another time, but it stems back from like all the way back from early Overwatch 1 that term. But the other thing he does well, so that's one thing he does well, but that requires like a full team to like really be playing around that playstyle and playing for like a synergistic win condition. That doesn't happen in ranked.
No.
So what is Lucio actually good at in ranked? Do you know?
Dealing for flankers. He can definitely deal with flankers.
Yeah, so like
Controlling an
he's decent at like controlling an angle, and he becomes almost like a mixture between like being able to help main, being able to put pressure on backline, and being able to deny flankers, right?
Yeah.
So these three things. So he does three things kind of in that regard, but he doesn't do any of them exceptionally well. He's just able to like put out the free fires, but like he only puts them out half, and then they go up again, right? So it's like incredibly difficult without being a really good Lucio and being able to play like a really aggressive Lucio style to actually get value out of Lucio in ranked. So therefore, for me, at least, Lucio is like a C or D tier in ranked, A or S tier in scrim/team environment.
I think we put him at B for that. I think we just middle of the road it.
So we've just decided he's mid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe we can put him on B. Yeah.
He's
Maybe
playable.
we can.
I still
Like
think he's
maybe
playable
we
in
could.
ranked.
I mean, of course he's playable, but I think there's other. The thing is, like, if we compare it to other characters, it's like, is Lucio that good? Think about the flex supports, right?
Let's do the others, and then we can maybe go back and reevaluate Lucio. I think.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Put Lucio on TBD.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe we can bump it over a little bit. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't have strong opinions on this one, to be honest. not that strong. C. In the meta, not that strong. Individual
we can
value, probably a
Bump
B.
it up probably a little bit. Probably bump it up a little bit. I think Mercy's better than Lucio.
I'll put that there. You know what? I don't hate that opinion. I don't hate that opinion.
Fair. Okay.
Zenyatta.
G tier.
You stay there, mate. Okay. Anna.
S. No doubt. and it was S before, and it's gonna go up, right? Like
yeah, because
it's an S tier.
Mauga's just got no way of dealing with it.
Yeah.
Moira.
I think Moira is just really, really, really bad. Like, no, just to be clear, I think Moira is like really, really bad, but I think Moira is really, really bad because other things are just so much better.
Yeah, this is the thing that I always talk about, which is like the balance state of this game right now is not like things are
Power
weak
creep.
and things are strong. It's everything is strong, and it's just what's strongest is what's up there, which I personally am not the biggest fan of that style.
I think power creep is definitely tying into it a lot as well, right?
Yeah. Because like the devs don't seem to ever dial it back when a tank gets strong. Like Winston was so strong for so long, they never actually dialed him back. If you think back to it, I don't think he's even had a nerf. I think since he became meta, he's only had buffs, and it's like only small buffs, but a small buff is still something, and it's like we don't need to keep giving him extra. Like we should be taking away from him, even if he's not strong in low levels. You know, like higher levels are suffering now because they're not getting any fun with him.
Oh, I mean, to be fair, it's just because other stuff came around and that stuff was like more power creep. Like we are definitely getting into like a power creep sort of meta.
Yeah, which I don't. Like
We've had power creep in Overwatch 1 as well, but even back in Overwatch 1, they denied power creep and they don't understand how power creep works. And I think we're at that crucial point right now where power creep is happening. Because we're buffing more than we're nerfing, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
We're buffing more than we are nerfing.
You know I've got a very strong opinion on this, so we will talk about this at some point. I'm 100% certain of that.
Yeah. Next character.
Brig.
Probably sit somewhere down there with Zenyatta. Maybe a bit higher.
I'd probably say higher than Zen.
I think in ranked, Brig is just kind of really meh.
I think lower than Zen actually. I think Zen is probably a stronger hero right now because even though Zen is exploitable, we are kind of in that poke meta. I mean, we aren't in the poke meta now, but Zen probably does better against Mauga than Brig, and Zen definitely does better in like a Sigma meta than Brig.
I think just looking at all of this is like going back on this. So many so many people where like we've just landed their mains like, are gonna be annoyed with us.
Yeah.
Just want to clear up again. Is like this is like a broad fan of like you might be able to take one of these characters, and because you're really good at that character, you're moving that Zenyatta up into an A tier or an S tier, right? Like we understand like that's how that can work, but
Yeah.
it's just like for like the broad population and the broad spectrum is this is roughly where we think stuff is setting, right?
Yeah.
So all right, Baptiste. Should be quite obvious for both of us here.
Eh?
Nah.
No, are you pushing on the S, are you?
Yeah, I am. I think the ammo reduction thing did not do nearly enough to this character. It did not do nearly enough.
His issue is, like you said this, you think Lamp should be on a lower cooldown but have less impact. You know, maybe,
Yep.
I think I agree. Maybe it saves like the minimum amount of health that it preserves could be lowered, or if you reach that critical point, every bit of damage that you take kills.
So here's the thing.
kills the Lamp.
So here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna explain this once. I'm not gonna go into detail. I'm just gonna explain my thing about supports, especially flex support. I don't really care about main supports. I think most main supports are in a generally speaking healthy point. So the main supports are Brick, Lucio, and Mercy. I think they're all in pretty much a healthy spot for the game. There's some discussion whether or not like certain interactions with these characters should not be the way they are, but they're generally fine. In terms of like how good stuff is, I think flex supports are incredibly overpowered, and it's because of their sort of like gameplay heavy impactful cooldowns, right? And the way it should go for all of these cooldowns, pretty much all of them, this is in my opinion, this is a Mick one take, sort of like one opinion, one army kind of deal, is all of these incredibly power cooldowns. I'm gonna name some of them. Nate, Suzu, Lamp, just gonna name those, right? All of these cooldowns should be on a lower cooldown so that supports get to play actively in the game a lot more, because it feels shit playing support. Beep that out, by the way. And it feels bad to play Ana, for example, and your whole thing is that one nade, and it either just wins the fight or you don't win the fight and you contribute a bit less, right? It doesn't feel very good. So you want to have a less impactful cooldown. I'm not gonna give any answers to how we make them less impactful. More available, right? So nerf what the ability does, not just numbers, but what it actually does, and then make it available more frequently. It feels less bad for the enemy team when they get hit by it. It's still something they want to avoid getting hit by, but it doesn't feel like, oh my god, I just got anti-nated and now I'm dead. Like there's nothing I can do. It came from Narnia. And it also feels like it doesn't feel so bad for Ana in the case that you missed that anti-nade and you're like, that was my nade. I got forced by Tracer to use it on myself. Now I have no impact in this fight.
Yeah.
That's my take on flex support, at least.
Super based. My worry is that Blizzard still don't understand how to patch things, and what they do is they just go, they want these things on a shorter cooldown. Let's just let's put this on a shorter cooldown, and then all we'll change about anti-nade is like the splash radius. So we half the cooldown and then just change the splash radius by half as well. And it's
Actually,
like,
one of the suggestions I've given is I think nade should be a skill shot,
yeah,
and then the lower cooldown. But when I say skill shot, I don't mean like half the rate. I mean like half the cooldown, quarter the radius.
yeah,
Make it so that it actually has to land like on their feet, you know?
yeah,
And then it doesn't get like a lot of people as well. and then half the cooldown so that you can take more opportunities at it. Like, make it so that people actually have to play around the fact that nade is like a threat. Make it more engaging for both sides.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, let's go, Kiriko. I don't think she's an S tier. I think
You are joking.
I don't think she's an S tier now. As much as there's going stuff around about like how Susu is really good, if you don't think about Susu for a second, she's kind of mid. Like she's kind of mid in terms of like
Get
what
out of
she
jail
actually
free card.
does.
A lot of neutral
Yeah, but it doesn't
value,
matter. Get
lot
out of
heals.
jail free card for your neutral to be subpar with Baptiste and Anna, right? So it's like, I think it's an A tier for sure, maybe, but I don't think it's an S tier. I don't think so now. And I think the thing about Kiriko is that she's actually like, arguably, in order for her to have like a high win rate, she's a higher skill ceiling than Anna and Baptiste is.
Higher skill
It's a hot
ceiling
take.
or higher skill floor?
Higher skill ceiling. Skill floor is incredibly low, but the skill ceiling is high, right? The value ceiling and the skill ceiling is high, which is why we're looking at like the majority of ranks having a win rate on Kiriko less than 50%, and it's only really around GM where we start like peaking above the 50%, right? And I think that's because I think that's because Susu feels bad.
Yeah.
This is why people hate Kiriko. Susu feels bad. But there's a difference between something feeling bad and being value. Right?
Yeah.
There's like a difference between feeling like you're getting value and getting value, right?
Yeah.
Susu feels incredibly bad. But like, let's just ignore that long cooldown. Think about Nate. Nate is the same cooldown, but if you land that, it's not just it feels frustrating in the moment. I did something that Kiriko undid, right?
Yeah.
We've actually lost. We have lost now. There is nothing we can do. We've lost. Big Nate. Versus, I set a bunch of people on fire with dynamite, and it got cleansed.
Yeah.
Would that dynamite have won us the fight? Maybe. Maybe not. What is Kiriko's value outside of that? She has a pretty strong healing output,
Very
but
strong
so does
at
Baptiste and Anna.
DPS.
Baptiste DPS is stronger, and it's easier to do because it's hit scan.
Okay, I think you make a good point. I don't know. I would still argue S tier, but somebody has to be in the A tier. I don't think it's the next person coming up. I'll just say that much. So,
I think Life Weaver is an A tier.
oh, don't you dare.
I think he's really strong. Like numerically, he's really strong.
Yeah, he's high B. You can't. No, we are not. No.
I think it's an A tier. I think he's really strong. Like no, surely, right?
No.
No.
I think
I-
Life Weaver felt painful to play against as a Winston player. I feel like against any other hero in the game.
Okay, you know what? You let me have my Kiriko. You can have your Life Weaver. We call it a high B.
Yeah.
But it's the highest B there is.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Just
I'm
saying.
happy saying that Life Weaver's.
Yeah. No, definitely no. Better than Mercy in general. Wrong sort of like thing. No, she's nowhere near that. She's like maybe a C.
What are you cooking?
I'm talking. See, this is okay. Right, she was really strong, but it's been moved about. She's not used nearly as much. Like I mean, even in the sort of like angle clearing like meta stuff we've been having, we stopped using Elari at the highest end, like pretty much altogether. Pretty much like the nerfs that she got, and the buffs that other characters got, especially Tracer now. This character's not here. It's not a nerf.
I don't really see any more Alari, but
No, like think about it. You don't see Ilari. Ilari's not used anymore.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I'd argue that's okay. I probably even put it a bit lower, but yeah.
Okay, now how do we feel about where Lucio is? Is Lucio better than Alari?
Yes.
Lucio better than Zan.
Probably. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So we happy with low B as like the compromise to probably not that great in comp. I mean, obviously, like we keep saying, you can make anything work. You can literally pick Moira and become rank 1 as Moira.
Entering a little bit, but you could definitely hit the high ends of top 500.
You could play a perfect.
I mean, to be fair, Mace to the face just hit rank 1, one tricking brick, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, alright, but yeah.
So, but all we're saying is that, you know, the skill floor for playing Lucio is probably too high on the lower ends. You know, it takes a lot of work to get the bare minimum amount of value out of Lucio, whereas in comp, in a team environment, you know, it takes a lot less because you're coordinated. Your role or your like need to get value maybe through like DPS output in certain areas, or where you need to have your output is a little bit more condensed, really, isn't it? It's like if they don't have a tracer, then you don't even have to worry about that fact. And if they do have a tracer, that's maybe going to be your number 1 concern, depending on what the other support is.
Let's delve right into our next topic, which is going to be hero reworks.
Yeah.
And we figured we'd talk about the 2 ones that are currently up in scopes, which is the Mauga, because Mauga is new, and a lot of people are talking about, is this character well designed? Does it need a rework? Do we need to rethink our philosophy? We probably will have to do that. I don't think Blizzard isn't gonna change this character immediately. Maybe nerf it a bit. But we're not gonna rework it in a bit. We're getting into that. We're getting into that, right?
Yeah. So, would you like to? Well, actually, do you just like maybe talk about the change, like the most recent changes? Because I feel like, for me,
yeah, yeah.
I don't know about these changes. I don't know. So incendiary and volatile chain guns. So his primary and secondary fire.
If you wanna just have my take real quick on these things. So let's break it down with Coach Meg.
Yeah.
We're giving a lot of armor into like his sort of like total sustainability. He already had strong sustainability, so I think we're over buffing his sustainability a little bit here by giving him base armor from 150 to 250. We're giving him 100 extra armor, but we're not taking away from his like over health generation and also from like just cardiac overdrive. In fact, we're buffing cardiac overdrive, right? So like we're not taking so what we're doing here is we're making him a lot more sustainable, and we're giving him back a little bit of range. Now the issue with making him a lot more sustainable is the fact that he was already sort of mostly used in a close quarters kind of deal where you'd normally need a lot of sustain. He has the damage, he may have lacked the sustain. Now we've given him both. Bada bing, bada boom, it's the perfect cocktail. He is really strong where now, like the issue with him is kind of like, from my perspective, is that because of the way he is designed, he is either gonna be busted or useless. And this is not a balance issue, it's a design issue. It's the fact that he's just incredibly strong close up, and if he's allowed to be able to do that, so as in is like he's not gonna get punished too much for trying to play that close range, he now has the damage to be able to do it. Now if we remove the damage, well, it doesn't really matter. You're just like a big like weight there at that point. Like you're gonna like get dealt with. You're gonna get sorted. You're not a threat. Now if we remove the sustain, you're not ever gonna be able to get close enough. So he has both now, and we can remove neither. So in my opinion, what a long-term rework of this character looks like is we're shifting a lot of the hero fantasy away from holding down left and right at the same time at close range into igniting people at a range. Force him to play at a range, right? But make the range actually do something. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, I hadn't actually thought of this until just now. I was just like listening to what you're saying, and I was just like, I actually really like that idea of like he has the damage and he has the sustain, so we can't realistic. Like we can't take one away, because then like he becomes a zero charges Arya if he loses his damage. Like he has to just he can get there and he can sustain himself there, but he can't do anything with it. And if we take away the sustain, then he can get to the positions and he can deal with damage, but he can't really do anything for long because he has to get back out. So initially, my takes on the character was buff his ult and we can nerf his neutral a little bit. I know we kind of discussed that, but I'll focus on what you brought up first actually. How would you feel?
I have statements. I have statements for that, but keep going.
How do you feel about this, where his damage output is tweaked in the way that, so he's got chain guns, miniguns take a little bit, because it still keeps the hero fantasy as well of having miniguns. Miniguns have a little bit of a wind-up time, so what if we made it so that he doesn't fire at his quickest immediately? So he has to get to a position, which will require some of his sustain. So you're having to shift into a position, presumably, and then you get to this position and you're using your E to sustain yourself, and it takes like 3 seconds to be able to wind up to be able to get to the max damage. So you have to be able to get into the position and be in a position that gets you value for long enough where you can actually then also get value. If you see what I'm trying to say, so you have to be able to. It has to be a safe. You can't be taking loads of risks, sort of thing. And obviously you don't have like the isolation factor that Winston has, where you can just jump from anywhere in the map and isolate a target. You have to probably path through cover into a coverable position. Spend 3 seconds charging up the minigun, so they're only firing really slow at the start, and then you start having an output.
So that gives the enemy team a window of opportunity to deal with you, but I don't think that's the solution, because I think this is it's half just a numbers tweak, right? It's half just a numbers. We don't need like a numbers tweak. We need to change him, right? So I think that could definitely shift him in a better direction, where like he's not as free. But I also think that feels terrible for him to play as, right? Like it's just, you're not gonna be that tank, enjoying that tank where you take and engage and then you do nothing for 3 seconds. You're not gonna be that tank, right? No one's gonna wanna be that, right? So what I think we need to do is like play into the range, like make him a ranged character. We need to just make him a ranged character. He's not a ranged character. He is he is a melee character with a gun that is advertised as being able to poke, but actually it's kind of just like, why are we then playing that character, right? So what I think needs to happen is we need to just all together up your hot take, but I think we all together need to make it so that you cannot fire both guns at the same time. We need to reduce the damage of incendiary gun, and we need to increase the damage of volatile on burning, and then we need to reduce the spread. So what we need to do is that Mauga has the ability to set people on fire at a range, and only if they're on fire are you actually gonna be a threat to them. That's the only thing. That is the fantasy is setting people on fire and bursting them down. It's a skill expression, because there's a lot of things that can make, well, just not peeking, fences and whatnot as well, of course. Grabbing, any character that has a self cleanse. But then also, it doesn't feel as bad, right? It feels like, you know what, I got outranged, I got punished for doing this, I got set on fire and I got bursted down, I got chunked, Yeah. I feel like we need to play into that fantasy. That's what the game felt like it needed. What we got was like, what we realistically got is like a Reinhardt. Like I don't think a lot of people understand. It's like the way where like Mauga, like if you can always leverage this playstyle, Mauga is probably the strongest if played like a Reinhardt, just in the face of the enemy backline, point blank, both guns at the same time. Now obviously there's something to be said about like even Reinhardt wasn't good at tank trading, right? Like maybe sometimes you could do something against like a Sigma on certain maps and whatnot. Maybe you could do something against like a Saya, like there's some leveraging to like, especially if like either of these characters are out of position, you can take the tank trade. The thing about Mauga is like the one thing that makes it difficult on Reinhardt is like there is a front line. Like how do you find the angle? How do you clear the angle? How do you like do a short angle clearing where you can like get onto the back line but not get punished, right? Mauga doesn't need to worry about that because Mauga can just sit in the face of 90% of all tanks and hold down both buttons, and he's gonna be fine. Eventually that tank bleeds out and you can move on to the backline. It's not engaging. There's no skill expression. We're selling the fact that he's like a ranged character, but he's really not. That's not where he's the most useful. I'm not saying he's bad in range. Like obviously, when you're playing Mauga the best and like everything is contextualized, you're never gonna be allowed to play tanks the way that you always wanna play them. So you're gonna reach a point where it's like you want to do this, but like there's some downtime, and of course you'll put in some incendiary shots and some volatile shots at a range, poking out that Ana, poking out that Baptiste, seeing if you can get some value, even poking out that Pharah like we talked about, right? Of course this is gonna happen, but it's not what he wants to do, which is, and I think we should shift into that actually being what he wants to do. Make it a skill expression, right?
The thing is, I know you always talk about this with hero balances, like with the Mercy. Me and Mick have spoken a lot about this, where the fantasy for Mercy players is being able to fly around and, being able to beam people and stuff. That's the hero fantasy. For me, I've played Mauga. My hero fantasy is to be this massive Samoan dude with rippling abs and a massive chest, and hold 2 miniguns and shoot both of them at the face of the enemy team. I think I would hate it if we've had such, and I get other people don't have the same opinion, so I'm probably in the minority here, such a fun tank.
But he's not fun though. He's just
it's
busted.
Heartbreaking. It will be heartbreaking.
But he's not fun. But he is fun. What? But how is it fun to sit in front of an enemy tank and hold down both of your buttons and just know that you've just won? Because that is what he is right now.
Because that's fun. Because shooting people. Because if I could be a big Samoan dude who could hold 2 miniguns in each hand and shoot both of them at the same time and obliterate some like.
This is why I balance the game and you just play it. So this is why I balance and you play.
If I could, where's Sigma from?
Where's Sigma from?
Yeah,
Another one, right?
My hero fantasy of when I'm playing Mauga is being a big Samoan dude who's got 2 massive miniguns and can stand in front of some Dutch guy and just beam him in the head, and he just has to accept that fact. Or blasting.
It's like it doesn't feel nice. Like you cannot think that just automatically winning the matchup every single time is fun. At that point, you might as well just. At that point, you might as well just go play. But at that point, you might as well just go and play chess against an easy bot and stump it every single time with the same move.
No, because I do.
Would that be fun to you?
No, it's different though.
It's not different. It's the same thing. Everyone in the comments, let Motor know that those two are exactly the same.
No, they're not though. They're not. And I don't know what to tell you. I find Mauga fun. I like him, and I don't want them to make another poke hero. I'm sick of poke heroes. We don't need more.
The thing is right is the way he is designed. You're not making him a perfect tank without either being useless or busted.
I don't know.
We can take away what he does right now, which is he wins the front line. He wins, like the one thing he does is he wins the tank trade. If you remove that from him, what is he then? It starts with a U, capital U, and ends with Celeste. Useless.
I like him. I like playing him.
Yeah, of course the tank player, tank player who's struggling to get out of diamond likes the giga buffed Mauga guy who is fundamentally broken, and you don't even have to think. It's like stomping a baby in the face against any matchup but a Mauga v Mauga. Of course you like that. But is that healthy?
No.
Is that no? It's not healthy. It's not healthy, Motor. It's not healthy.
No.
Oh, it's not
Let
healthy.
me have my fun on tank. I had
Yeah,
to play
for a week.
Winston for. I had to play Winston for like a full year, man. I had to play Winston for a full
Had to
year.
is a strong word. Had to is a strong word.
Yeah, if I wanted to play the meta and be good for my team, then that's what you had to do, and that's what I wanted to do. So, to the people
I
who
could
care,
probably made that like
to the people who care
Could have
about playing
probably,
the meta,
made. 'Cause I think we've got a bit of a coper here. Could have probably made all
there's
the tanks
absolutely
work.
no coping going on here. Let me have a fun tank. Give me a brawl meta, Blizzard. Give me a brawl meta.
But I'm gonna do you one better, right? I'm gonna do you one better here. I think ball is incredibly fun, but ball is bad.
Yeah. Well,
But ball is incredibly
again,
fun.
this is where the balance thing comes into it. Of like, I would not hate it if we just pick a different hero to be meta. Again, not going into it because we have other topics that need discussing. The ultimate is the last thing that we need to talk about. You think
Ultimate's fun.
I thought you said you don't think other people should be able to enter it. It should completely isolate.
I think so yes, I think that is, but that was of a version of Mauga that was not this buffed, right? Like it was the in between where I thought that was a bit silly. Now I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. The ultimate is really strong. Like the ultimate is incredibly strong as well,
Yeah.
especially as people find their way of like using the ultimate. I don't think we need to change the ultimate at all. I think the ultimate can stay as it is, but we need to nerf its neutral.
Okay. If we nerf his neutral, I don't think. Obviously, naturally, then the ultimate stops being strong because his neutral is so weak, or maybe it isn't so weak. But if we nerf
The thing about
neutral,
the thing about the ultimate is that you, whenever you use the ultimate, right? Like I think the biggest issue with Mauga ult is that people use it aggressively. They use it to push in, and then put it on top of people. And what ends up happening is like you isolate yourself, and then everyone enters the cage fight, and then there's another Mauga with you in there. But the Mauga now all of a sudden have an Ana. You've given up your Ana's like line of sight, right? And you get obliterated. And like this ultimate isn't strong. Now if you use it differently, like if you're holding like a control point or something, right? And you see like anyone really, could be the Mauga, anyone really starts taking space early, and they're just even a little bit ahead of everyone else. You pop that ult on top of them. It is the freest 1v1 of your life. You punish people trying to engage.
Okay, so that's where we stand on Mauga. The tank guy wants the strong tank guy to be still strong.
The all-around guy thinks we need to change him a little bit, and then change the direction a little bit.
I just disagree with the direction. Like I said, I don't think I would hate if you have to play him on corners and he has a wind-up time.
Not it. It's not it. That's all I'm gonna say. It's not it.
I guess 2-3 seconds of downtimes. But right now he's on 14 seconds of downtime where he can't really do much when he doesn't have cardiac overdrive. So I don't know.
But that's not true. You can do a lot when you don't have that. It's just you can do everything when you have it.
Yeah.
Except if you get on top of them. Like honestly, just get on with it. Anyway, doesn't matter. Next character, Reaper. Now Reaper DPS, I think for both of us really, DPS is like our least sort of like. I don't want to say the stuff we care the least about. It's just the stuff that we don't really interact a lot with.
No.
Supports and tanks are just like more interesting a lot of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do we think? I want you to, or maybe I should. Which one of us starts?
I've heard some wacky things.
You've heard some wacky.
I've heard some
Get 'em
wacky
out.
things.
Get some
Okay.
wacky things out there.
Okay, so you know how in the trailers and stuff, his wraith form, it was like he just turns into like a puddle of mist and he can just float around everywhere. I saw somebody saying his wraith form should allow him to give him vertical mobility as well. So like whether or not, see, I saw people saying it should give him a super jump so he can jump up onto high grounds and stuff. I don't agree with that. I think it should work more like he does that puddle thing where he like crawls up the wall and stuff. So like if you go up to a wall and you can interact with it like Hanzo or Genji or Kiriko, where you hold spacebar and you just start like creeping up walls. I think that wouldn't be too bad. I'm not saying that's going to change everything about him. I really like that idea though. And the other is giving him an alternate fire, which we haven't like necessarily. I don't know if we change Reaper's whole idea of being the shotgun guy who like fades around and stuff to giving him like a ranged attack. I don't know if we change that. So I don't know how much I agree with that one. I don't actually hate the vertical mobility Wraith idea, as long as it's not done in a silly way, like making him be able to jump 20 meters into the sky. I think.
What if I like ask some questions about your thought process here, and like I don't even give you like my perspective, but I'm just gonna ask questions here.
Yeah. Go on.
Is Reaper bad because he doesn't have vertical mobility?
No.
That-
No.
Are you able to easily take high grounds with Reaper, and it's not even an issue?
I guess it depends. Because the TP.
Let's say you're defending Dorado second. Are you able to just take the high ground?
Defending.
Defend Dorado second. Are you able to just take the high ground? Yes or no?
Yeah. You just walk up the stairs.
Yeah, but also like, are you able to just use your abilities to just take the high ground instantly?
Yeah. You can just TP it.
Okay, yeah, you can do that. Okay, awesome.
But you're vulnerable.
Attacking the attack. How so? Let's say the payload is just right out the gate. Are you vulnerable?
Yeah, but you have a wind-up time of where you stay
But
you are.
but you're not listening. You're not listening, right? Right out the gate. Defense. You're able to just take the high ground instantly, free. Yes, you are. I'm just gonna answer that question for you because you struggle a little bit with that one. Yes, you can just take it for free instantly. Now you're on the high ground. Are you gonna be able to hold that high ground? Yeah. Are you gonna be able to get value from that high ground? No, not really. Not really.
Why not?
Right? Because you can only get value if anyone tries to go there.
Okay, but
It's a little.
can't you just path to them?
So here's the thing, right? Path to them. You can always just path to them. Like you could even go coast and then go from behind. Arguably an even safer pathing, right? Like you can always just path. Now on attack, could you just find like an area to TP to and then flank around and walk up on high ground? Like, you can't TP into them on high ground, right? Like you can't TP into the masters. That's gonna kill you. But could you find a TP so that you can walk? Probably, yeah. Now is Reaper still bad?
Yeah.
It's like what I'm getting at is like verticality is nice and all. Don't get me wrong, verticality is great for like a lot of characters, and it's definitely an advantage to have verticality in your character for a lot of maps and a lot of characters. But is that why Reaper is bad?
No, it isn't.
No, it isn't. It's not. Right. It's a great take, but it's not why it's bad. Why is Reaper bad?
He gets poked.
What is the issue?
His poke is strong.
So it like what is Reaper's effective range?
That's like 10 meters.
It's less than that, to be honest. It's very little. It's very little. It might be less than that.
5 meters.
It's I don't remember the exact, but it's in a realistic game of Overwatch, not just in practice range. The actual effective range is quite low, and then you have like some range where it's like you're doing some poke, right? But it's not.
Yeah.
What are a lot of abilities in this game that might make it so that people do not play at that kind of range? Like, you see what I'm getting at? You see what I'm getting at? It's like a lot of things that just all of a sudden makes it so that Reaper can't play that. So the big issue with Reaper is that you want this fantasy of like getting onto the backline, quick assassination, and then getting out again. Do you get out? Don't get out. Right? You just don't get out. Because you can't go in with TP. We discussed this. It's too long of an animation. It's too loud. It's too clunky. People are gonna know that you're TPing a lot of the time. You're gonna deal with it. So you can't do TP shoot Wraith out. Okay, fair enough. Then what are your options? Like TP somewhere else, walk around, take some shots, Wraith out? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Is that like 10 steps more than just picking Tracer, blinking through them, or like blinking on a flank and just like shoo, and then you can just recall, or like you can just blink back into like it's the movement. The issue with Reaper is the movement, right? Like it's the fact that he can't apply himself.
Yeah.
I think crazy idea. I think we need to get rid of teleport and give him something else. Movement related as well, but something else.
What would that be? Or okay, actually let me just start with this. Could we not change the wind up of TP? And could we not
If you make
reduce the
TP
noise?
instant, if you could reduce the noise, but if you make TP instant, it's gonna be too strong, right? It's gonna, because you.
How long do you spend
you-
TP? 3 seconds, is it? Something like that.
I think it's like if you remove all of the downsides to TP, we just make it too good. It's too strong, right? Like if you make it instant and you make like no sound and also like you materialize instantly, kind of like Kiriko TP, right? We can't have that. That's not a good idea.
But if you were to have a 1 second wind up from the point that you TP and you materialize instantly, so there's a second where the C-
you cannot remove the negatives of TP. It's too strong. Out of the question. Out of the question. You cannot do that. So what does Reaper become then? Like a frontline pressure? That's not very effective. Like a tank denier? It's not very effective at that either.
So what are your proposed changes? Because I personally don't have that much opinion on
I think we go wacky with it, and I think what needs to happen with Reaper is that we're really reconsidering his 2 movement abilities into a play, like making him be able to play a playstyle. I even think like the idea of being able to go in, like almost like a translocator, kind of like going in, because it's telegraphed at least from some angles.
Yeah.
Maybe we consider the fact that his like one-shot potential is a bit too easy right now. Nerf his one-shot potential a little bit. Give him like a translocator where it's like you kind of have to come from like a flank angle to be able to go in quickly without being noticed. Maybe don't give him a one-shot potential. And then sort of like moving into like being able to use Wraith just purely to like either stabilize yourself like on a corner reload while your team is pushing, or like get out. Because I think the thing is like I think TP can be telegraphed. Right? Like Sombra Translocator is telegraphed. But because it's a lot faster and you're able to shoot immediately, like you might actually be able to find an angle where you can get some shotgun shells off, and then you can use your rifle to get out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't have a big answer to Reaper because I said I think Reaper is actually pretty okay. I think that's just we're moving. Like I said, we wanted crowd control to only really be a thing that like supports would have, right? Like in Overwatch 2, it's like support should have some crowd control because they need something to be able to help themselves against tanks. But now we're like back with Cassidy Nade, and we're back with like Mayslow, and the list goes on, right? Like tanks having more crowd control as well in terms of ultimates and also just like general sort of like slam slows, and the list goes on. Ranatra E. It's like we've moved back to Overwatch 1 in terms of crowd control, right?
Yeah.
Even though we said we were not gonna do that.
I don't think CC is necessarily an awful thing.
I think CC is terrible. We should remove it. Like we should remove CC. We're going straight back to Overwatch 1, and we're gonna reach a point where like we're in that Overwatch 1 hell again, right? Of just like crowd control, because they had a design philosophy and they've abandoned it. The design philosophy was like less crowd control, and then they've gone back on it and been like, no, actually just introduce a bunch of crowd control. The game is like slowly moving towards that, like we're a couple of crowd controls away, Motor, from this game to be literally unplayable for tanks again. I'm not even joking. Like we're getting there. We are getting there.
Sounds like cope to me.
It's not cope. It's Overwatch 1. I'll happily send you the Overwatch 1 Reinhardt clips of like literally getting 5 crowd controls. And by the time the 5th crowd control lands, the first one is off of cooldown and we start the cycle again. Like we are getting there. Like there's no question about it. We will get there.
That's
Quote me on it. Everyone quote me on it right now, and I'm gonna in your face in like 2 batches when it happens.
as an off tank, I never really had to experience like the
Oh,
game
I
frozen
played a lot of
and
Rhino at
bashed
the time, right?
Then you know, it's yeah. I didn't like playing against Doomfist. I remember hating Doomfist avidly, but I never really had to experience that from the main tank perspective, which always was the worst perspective.
This is what we're getting to. We're already in a mini version of this. We're getting to, because what people don't understand is like, people will say like, oh, but like right now it's just like a couple that you have to dodge and it's fine.
Yeah.
Yes, it's fine when you have to dodge a couple. The issue is when you can start crowd control chaining. That's when it becomes an issue. Because in Overwatch 1, the issue wasn't necessarily crowd control. It was the fact you could chain crowd control, right? It was the fact that by the time your crowd control was over, someone else could crowd control. And by the time that was over, someone else could crowd control. And by the time that was all over, the first like cooldown in the chain is back down. And it actually disabled your ability to play the game. That was the issue, right? And we're getting there, because in the start of Overwatch 2, we had like 2 or 3 times less crowd control. Like with 2 or 3 times the amount of crowd control. We're getting there. Like there is no cope here. I mean, I don't even know how I can cope. I don't really play the game, but like, how is that a cope? I'm not telling you I'm about to get diffed by crowd control. I'm telling you, a lot of tank players, like, we're already seeing like really short tank queues. We're already seeing like sort of like pretty easy going DPS queues and very short support queues, right? Very long support queues, sorry. Other way around, because support is just being favored a lot right now. I wonder why. Spoiler warning, might have something to do with crowd control and cope.
Final topic. This will be a recurring topic every single week. We'll be showing you the coper of the week, somebody who we believe coped so unbelievably hard they deserve to get a special shout out for it. So, you know, if you want to, you can drop us your favourite coper of the week as well, and maybe we can feature them. But this is the statement from Reddit. I believe this is r/Overwatch University.
Yes.
Why does it feel like the standard of play required in low ranks is so impossibly high? I just played this game as Remarcher on Esperanza, where I realised I made 2 major mistakes, and there's some timestamps. 505, I popped Ramol when it wasn't needed because there was just a Baby Diva and Mercy remaining. 810, I pushed up without realising the Mercy would res the Orisa behind me. I realised that I made these mistakes and that we might have won if I hadn't, but this is Silver 2. This is the rank where people are supposedly playing with their monitors turned off. I've been told that if I'm Silver, it's because I don't even understand the basics of how to play my hero. It's very patronising and I don't think it's true. How many mistakes am I allowed to make in a game? I've seen some of the highest ranked players make really dumb moves, but in games like this it feels like anything less than perfect play results in a loss. Meanwhile, most wins feel completely free. Like the matchmaker is just giving me charity or something. What am I missing here? So,
Do you wanna open, or I feel like I wanna open on this one. This is
go right ahead.
So there's one question in here. So just to be clear, when we say coper of the week, right? It's everyone copes, right? It's okay. This guy actually went on to get feedback in the comments of this and took it to heart, right? So we're not slandering whoever this is, right? That's not what we're doing. But what we are saying is this is definitely cope, and here's how we can change that. So one of the things he asked is how many stakes am I allowed to make? And that's a really, really interesting question, right? Because you're allowed to make as many mistakes as one would do for the rank that you want to be. Play like the rank you want to be, not like the rank you are. If your justification for something is that it works in your rank, that's the reason why you're in that rank and not in a higher rank. You gotta set your standard to be above, so that you can practice to be there, right? And then he goes on to saying like he sees really high ranked players. Like there's no providing of what these really dumb mistakes are. But here's the thing, right? Yes, really high ranked players, especially if you watch clip of the week compilations from like different other like clip like aggravators, right? It's if you watch these, they're funny moments. They're submitted because a high tier player made a silly. If you go and watch their streams, like 90% of what they do is not going to be mistakes, right? The thing about Overwatch is that you are not the peaks of what you do, and you're not the valleys of what you do. You are the average in between. And when you're trying to improve at Overwatch, you're not actually trying to increase those peaks a whole lot. You're trying to shrink the valleys so that we don't make bad mistakes that are punishable, right? So how many mistakes am I allowed to make is an interesting question, but the answer is, where do you want to be? Those two mistakes that you listed there is like that is two team fights that you potentially lost, right? For your team. And losing two team fights for your team is definitely not something you want to like consistently do if you want to win like in a GM like lobby, right? Of course it happens. So like one of them, for example, like I pushed up without realizing the Mercy would res the Orisa behind me. Okay, well there's two things there, right? You could have either realized that the Mercy was resing Orisa, and you could have popped your E on her and your primary fire, or you could even pop your form, right? Or you could realize that Mercy is resing Orisa, and there's a full backline of potential other things that you can go and use your Nemesis form on and kill, right? So like, if you're in silver, you haven't understood your hero. That's just the way it is. There are fundamental things about the game that you do not understand, right? You're trying to use your hero in wrong ways. A lot of the time in lower elos, it is actually a matter of fact of just playing too safe. Like you're just not looking to leverage what your character is really good at and going in and getting value out of, right? So maybe one of the things that you're doing wrong here is the fact that you're just kind of like sitting in front of your team, not trying to take control of your game, right? That's what it sounds like, but just reading this. So how many mistakes are you allowed to make? You're allowed to make as many mistakes as the average person in your rank makes. If you want to go a rank above, you have to lower that average.
It's quite a few as well, is the answer.
Oh yeah, no, it's quite a few. Like just to be clear here, like even GM games, like there are like several blunders that are being made in GM, like by a lot of people. And like obviously when you go from GM to like top 500, from top 500 to open division, like top open division, contenders trials, and all the way to Overwatch League, like obviously these things like will decrease. But even in like GM, quite a few per game. In silver, a lot.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that I need to have the lower ranks watching today understand is that in silver, it is, and even for a lot of ranked, it is 100% about understanding how to get value out of your character. And that's it. Understand what your character does and go and seek it. Because you're not going to get punished in silver. Not to the same degree that you're going to get punished in Masters, or GM, or even Diamond, right? It's a ladder. It's a gradient. So go figure out, what does my character actually really do? Figure out who can you bully in silver. Who can you bully with your character on the enemy team? And then just go and bully them. Don't be afraid to play the game. So many times I watch silver gameplay, and people are afraid to play the game. They're sitting in main choke behind some cover, and they're never peeking. They're never taking an alternative route. They're never doing anything. They're not they're not going for something, right? Figure out what you can leverage. Go capitalize on it, right? There are many videos around for your characters where they will explain exactly what that might be. Not going to go into detail there.
Karku and Spilo. Karku and Spilo are probably like the two people that I would go and seek that advice. 100%. Those two. they do know what they're talking about. Obviously, Kaku's a top 500 player. Spilo is a professional level coach, coaching professional players or coach professional players. Now more focused on the on helping non-professional players and helping comp players getting better. Go watch their videos, and you will definitely see improvements if you implement their advice to your gameplay. But I think the thing that I most wanted to look at personally was this narrative of blaming the matchmaker. Meanwhile, most wins feels completely free, like the matchmaker is just giving me charity or something. I think everybody, and I mean everybody, can at times feel hard done by on the matchmaker. It isn't very often that, at least at the elo that I'm in, and like Mick says, it's still a fairly low elo, it can feel pretty hard done by, and you don't get very many often games where, you know, you go into like 6-5 and stuff. You're not going to the extra rounds most of the time. It's usually, you know, people are just about getting a cap on the push map, so people aren't full capping on hybrid or escort. So, you know, you two rounds on control, stuff like that. It doesn't always feel like the matchmaker's doing a very good job. I think some of that, and actually I say some of that, most of that can be attributed down to the fact that players on the lower level will lose one fight and then they'll give up. You know, the mental for a lot of players will drop after just one first team fight of the first game of the day, and they lose it, and then their mental's gone, and then it just feels like the whole match is over and people give up. And that can probably be a little bit of the reason why you feel like you're losing. Maybe your mental is going immediately. Maybe that's why you feel like games are either, it just feels like a coin toss where either you roll or they roll. You stomp or you get stomped. But the matchmaker is not working against you. I can assure you of that. The matchmaker is doing its job absolutely perfect if your win rate's 50-50. If you're not climbing, then the matchmaker is doing, well, no, not if you're not climbing, but if your win rate is staying consistent, if you're not making improvements to your gameplay, you're not climbing and you're not dropping, the matchmaker is working at full effectiveness and it's not working against you at all. The way that you climb in this game is you pick out issues in your gameplay, like Mick said, maximising the value of your individual hero. You maximise that, so if you're playing on Reinhardt, then you need to figure out the way to engage their backline and how to engage their backline and how you're going to find value by jumping on their backline, and then doing that every single game. And if you figure out how to do that perfectly, you're not going to stay until you'll be wiping out their supports every single fight. You will start climbing, and obviously the fact that you're going to hit GX with that. So
100%.
the matchmaker is not out to get you. The matchmaker is there to make the experience fair for everyone, and it does that job mostly. So don't feel that hard done by. Just think every single game, the mentality has to be, what am I doing? How am I getting better? And if you lose, it doesn't matter. Just keep focusing on getting better, because once your improvements are implemented, you will become a better player and you will achieve a higher rank, and you're going to start to see changes. Coming from somebody who hard coped on the fact that he was gold for so long, and then climbed from gold to plat, and then from plat to diamond, and then eventually diamond to masters, and hopefully a little bit more. Yeah, it's not out to get you, and you can very much climb with the right attitude and the right mindset and the right amount of dedication. It does take work.
Yes.
That's all I really have to say, though. Didn't mean to turn it into an inspirational talk, but
A bit of inspirational talk. I think that is mostly all we have, though.
yeah.
Uh,
Thank you very much
yeah.
for stopping by, and leave us a like, because you know you want to.